Get us live on YouTube. So what have you been up to in 2020?
Well, 2020 was our craziest year ever. We
Sorry,
got incredibly,
2022.
yeah, I know we're already in 2022.
Yeah.
Honestly, I have been heads down, just working for a couple of large clients and just amazed at how quickly this year has blown by. That's been my year, just head down working. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I've got the YouTube running in the background here somewhere, which is on a delay. Perfect that I was still hearing you talking. Fabulous. Yeah, I just had to find it in the background uh, and I'll get rid of it. So I told everybody we're live. So we're starting this new educational series like we've done in the past. I'm going to start putting all this stuff together. So anytime you want to come on and talk about stuff, let me know because in the
Oh,
end it'll all
anytime.
become in the end it'll all become part of some of the incubator stuff we're doing with the startup visa program and some of the stuff we're doing internally and all the other stuff. Like I'm saying, oh, you want to know how to define your client avatar, here's where you go. You want to do this, here's the thing on that. And we'll have all sorts of videos for everything. Like we have so much
Right.
already. Thanks for joining us. I see Tom's here in the chat room and there's a couple of people already on YouTube. I'm going to throw this over to Marcus in just a minute, but please put your questions in the chat room or in the Q&A window, depending whether you're on YouTube or on Zoom, and we'll get to them and we'll answer them as we go because we want to make this as interactive as possible.
Absolutely.
And to answer your questions and make sure we're going there. And I think, this topic is an interesting one because a lot of people think they have it down. And when you actually go to it, they don't. They haven't really thought about it.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I mean, as always, first, let me start off by saying thanks, Craig. It's always fun doing these with you. And it's been a while. So yay, welcome back to being live. Yeah, there are a lot of people that think they know how to do it. And then I also find the other spectrum, the analysis paralysis, people that are so scared that they don't even know where to start. They're like, oh, what if I get this wrong? Is it going to affect my whole business? And they don't know what to do even to get started. But both ends of the spectrum I find quite interesting. And as I was prepping you just before, I was trying to say, and hello, everybody, I was telling Craig that my views on this have become a little more cynical over the last couple of years because we've all been going through some stuff. We won't say what, but everybody knows. But we've been going through some things together, and it's really changed a lot of how this works now about how we do things and how we find those client avatars. So I see Tom's already got a question. For me, the question is more about how to navigate having a very wide net product while investors want us to be super focused on the specific avatar. Right. So, wow, Tom, good one. So let's start there because this is a very common belief. I have a product that can help everyone. And Tom, I'm going to say some things. I want you to know, first of all, what my intention is. My intention is to help. My intention is to support you. My intention is to always care and help you get to where you want to be. If you know me at all, if you've seen me on previous podcasts here or elsewhere, you'll know sometimes I'm a little bit direct. So I'm going to be a little bit direct, and I know that you can take this. Hit me, don't spare my feelings. Love that attitude, Tom. So you can't help everybody, right? Nobody can help everybody. We just tipped 8 billion people on the planet. If you could help everybody, you wouldn't even be able to. Like, there's just no possible way. But what statistics show, which is really, really cool, and this is what I want your takeaway to be, and then we can talk about tools and whatever else you want, because this will help other people as well, is if you can get 500 repeat customers, if you can find 500 people that are willing to talk about you, that are willing to give you another shot, you will be more financially stable than 99% of the companies out there. And it only takes 500 people. And it's ridiculous when you think about it, but think about any business that's able to handle 500 people on a regular basis. Those are usually the ones that aren't always the biggest, but have the process down. They know who their client avatar is, and they know, more importantly, how to get them back. So you're not always trying to get new clients. So for you, our goal is exactly what your investors are saying. The ego part says, yes, I can help everybody. I have services that can help any and every business. Do I help every and any business? Absolutely not. I actually have a product that I think can help a lot of people. Does it help a lot of people? It doesn't. It helps very specific people. And the fun thing that you're going to find about this is the more you know, let's say even the dozen characteristics of the one person you're trying to attract, you're going to drag along other people in your net anyway, right? So let's say, as an example, you've got all of these things down, and one thing is I only want to deal with people in a 4-year age range. That's your optimal age range, is 36 to 40 years old, right? 36 to 40 years old. So along comes a lead that happens to be 42. Everything else, every other box you have is ticked off, but oh no, they're not in my age range. Are you going to do business with them, Tom? Of course you are, because they're aligned with all the other things you want. That's the way ideal client avatars work. When you talk to your people, when you talk to tribe, whatever you want to call it, when you find that one person you're specifically talking to, not only will they be your champion, but they're going to bring other people along that might be 75% fit, 85% fit. And you got to determine what your threshold is before the core values of the clients you want do not match your own. So for example, when we do our stuff, our lead generation, if someone isn't an 85% match to the criteria, I simply will not do business with them, because ultimately that means our core values are not aligned, and eventually the relationship just doesn't go well. So it has to be an 85% or higher match. So you have to determine that for yourself. And again, that often depends on the nature of your business. My business involves long-term relationships. For my product side of things, it doesn't really matter to me what the core values are of people, because I just want them in and buying product again and again and again and again. They can do whatever they want in their lives, right? I know who they are. I know how to get them to come back. But for long-term service side, which might be what you're doing, especially because you have investors, you really want to make sure that you are focused on a specific avatar. Hopefully that answered some of your questions. I think one of the reasons Craig brings me back again years after year is because I go on these rants. So yeah, maybe. But again, this talks about what I'm talking about. He approached me, said, would you be interested in doing this? Simple lead email. I said, absolutely, I would, because I've done it before. We have a relationship. So it's easy for Craig to go, hey, who do I know that's well-spoken, has knowledge on these types of things, sometimes agrees with my points of view, sometimes disagrees, but can express himself in a way that is open to debate and is open enough to learn at the same time, and that is really good at engaging with my customers. He thought Marcus, right? And that was just a list of specifics off the top of my head. So that's what your investors are asking for. They're asking for you to look at all the characteristics of who do you want to deal with the most. Okay. So here's my question for you, Tom. Do you have any clients yet? That's my first question. Do you have any clients at all? Have you dealt with anyone that has been a really good experience for you? Right. And hopefully you'll type back to me. But if not, that's okay, because I'm going to tell you something. This is there's courses, you have random users. Okay, cool. Have you, what is your type of product? Is this an online product or service? What is it that you do, Tom? Okay, we'll find out. But here's the thing. If you've got one customer that you've enjoyed working with, out of all the customers you might have had, if you've got one user, in your case, you said random user. And again, if you're like a software and people just sign up for your service and you never really get to know them, that's interesting. That's an interesting kind of approach. What type of people are you trying to attract to your service? What does your software do, for example? I'm guessing it's a software. Digital health platform that helps you understand your health data and rewards you for engaging with it. Amazing. So the fact that you're rewarding people means you know exactly the type of people that are most using your software platform. And you also know it's people that are either so digital health, it's not medical. So I'm going to assume a digital health platform that is for people that want to have a better life. So they actually, wellness. So they actually care about themselves, first of all. They want to have better healthy habits. Maybe it's nutrition, maybe it's whatever. So you already know certain things about these people. So I'll talk about nutrition. That means probably the people that shop on your app are not ordering McDonald's 5 times a week. right? They're not shopping at Walmart for the groceries. Maybe they're going to Whole Foods or Longo's or something a little more upscale because maybe organic's important to them, or at least fresh is important to them. So just by thinking about this stuff, you already know who those people are. Right. There are also people that might have a little bit more disposable income, because people that don't have disposable income aren't really caring about their health and well-being. They're not into wellness so much. They're not into nurturing their soul because of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's only when they've got all their basics covered and they feel secure with, employment and shelter and all of those other things that go in that pyramid, that they can start to look at self-improvement. So you're offering something to a very top tier group of people. So even by knowing who you're not targeting can help you with certain tools to exclude those types of people. So if you look up Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you're going to see that you're looking at those top tip of the pyramid people, so you cannot deal with all those other ones because they're not your ideal client. So just by understanding, you want to get those who don't care yet. Interesting. Okay. So how are you going to make them care is the question. You want those who don't care. What's your hook? If I don't care about my health, why would I want a digital health app? Right. So now we're getting into a little bit of sales and marketing as well. You pay them with Web3 tokenomics. Okay, so you're trying to attract people, and that's a dirty word. No, I know, but it's a risky word. And I can see why your investors are a little hesitant. So many people have lost so much that it almost seems sometimes that the glory days of going to the moon with crypto is kind of over. But it's not a dirty word. It's actually perfect for this generation. So you're dealing with people that understand volatility. You're dealing with people that understand how uncertain things can be, and yet you're trying to incentivize them with something that might not have any real value. But at the same time, to those people that do like that, it has value. So now you know who your target audience is. You want people that find Web3 interesting. You want people that are into tokenomics, as we'll call it. And you want people that maybe are not in their best health. So who are those people? Well, you actually just answered the question. Most people that are into tokenomics are spending a lot of time in front of their computer. It's not everybody. Oh my God, it's not everybody. No, it's not everybody. Because you've just said your priority is the people that are going to be attracted to your reward. If you offered me your reward, and I'll tell you a bit about me, I go to the gym 3 days a week. I walk 10,000 steps every single morning. I take care of my health. I am conscious about what I eat, and I have no interest in your app, and I don't even know what it is. And the reason I don't have any interest in it is because I have no interest in tokenomics. So for you to incentivize me by saying, hey, I'm going to reward you with that, to me, you're just another health and wellness app because you're not targeting the right person. Right. So that's what your investors are trying to tell you. Now, here's the sad reality. The sad reality is if you and I were to sit down, Tom, and actually talk about what your app offers and how it could benefit my life, I would probably get really pumped about it because that's who I am. I enjoy those personal connections, but that's not what we're talking about with the ideal client avatar. You need numbers to support the app. You need numbers to make it profitable. So don't start with everyone. Start with the people that A, are going to like your incentives, and B, are the people that actually most need the app. Focus on those people. If you can come up again with 500 people that absolutely must have the app. So you need 500 people interested in cryptocurrency that want to do something to change their life. Right. And you have to make it attractive because, again, if you've ever studied anything about habits, you have to make it attractive because then people will want to do it. If it's something unattractive, if it's something difficult, if it's something that's going to take a lot of effort, nobody wants to do that. None of us do. We want to do, look at our existing habits. All of our existing habits are comfortable. That's why they became habits. So you have to make this app usage something that's attractive, something that's comfortable. To your point, it's rewarding. So your reward has to appeal to somebody that's willing to do the discomfort because they want the reward. That's not me. I don't think that's Craig either. Just by the way, he's nodding at a lot of the stuff I'm saying. So we're not your target audience. So now what you do is you start to interview people that aren't your target audience. Why am I not your target? Right? Is it my age? Is it my finances? Right? Is it my comfort with technology? Maybe I don't use apps that much. Right? So what is it that makes me not like your app? That can be just as valuable as finding out what people do want for your app. Do you see where I'm going with this, Tom? And one of your best things you can do there is there's actually tools for this. I'm going to share my screen if that's okay, Craig.
Of course.
Cool. One of the tools that I've been playing with a lot recently, and I don't know if any of you guys have seen this, is called Think with Google. And Think with Google is phenomenal. There's a lot of great test cases, blah, blah, blah. But if you scroll down to the end, you're going to see these amazing tools called Find My Audience, Market Finder, Grow My Store, what's trending to help you really understand your marketing and everything. But let's just try Find My Audience, okay? And we're going to select the type. We're not looking for, we're looking for people that are actually looking to use your app. Perfect. And our category, what are we? We are probably somewhere under health. Is there a health? Did I miss it? Sports and fitness. We are probably sports and fitness. So let's give it a look. Now, it's not going to necessarily work perfectly for me because, well, maybe it will. Because Tom, can you type in, do you have a website for this yet that promotes your app, or are you still working on that? Okay. Oh, you do. Perfect. easylabs.org. Okay. So we're going to go with this one, services, right? So we're going to click on getting in there. I think I just added it. I have to sign in. Okay, that's fine. Why did all the buttons just stop working for me? Let me refresh. Still an experiment. There we go. Sports and fitness, start now. And we are going to sign in. I don't know if it's going to let me sign in because I'm in incognito. Let's see if it will. I don't think it will. Anyway, that's fine. I got you this far enough. So what happens is you just go through here, and it's going to ask you basically to start selecting different tags that are relevant to what you do, et cetera, et cetera. And then you're going to put in your domain, and it's going to go and check your domain for its readiness level to actually attract your audience, which is crazy. And then it'll actually give you specifics for, what you could actually do. It's meant for YouTube and how you can promote on YouTube, but you can use the same information for any of your marketing channels for lead generation. So it's absolutely a fantastic free tool from Google. And you can do it across different things, like with Market Finder. It's the same type of tool, right? So it's amazing taking your business to new markets, using them before. So for what you're doing is once you've mastered, let's say the English language, I'm going to assume is your native language, and that you're probably somewhere in Canada, maybe North America, because you're here with us now. But once you're like, hey, we're getting a lot of customers and we want to expand, it's going to, again, do an assessment to show you how to make yourself ready for the world. And then you've even got stuff to deal with, like, your app store and Shopify and whatever, so that you can start to increase your digital window to the world. It's just fantastic tools from Google. So we've really started playing with those a lot. And I think it might benefit you just to, sit around there, play around there, and even just go with what Google gives you. I'm going to give you one other tool. And I see there's a lot going on in the chat too that I didn't even notice. I'm spending all this time with you.
Most of it's me. Don't worry. I'm going to jump in.
Most of it's you. Okay. So the last thing I'll say, and then I'm going to let Craig jump in a minute. And Craig's heard me do this one before. Now, I used to offer a $100 little 1 hour mini session on how to use Facebook ads to define your client avatar. But one of the cynical sides of me, and Craig won't like this one, is that anyone that wants to teach you how to do your funnel, anyone that wants to teach you how to define your client avatar, you're their client avatar, right? That's exactly who you are, because they're looking to sell their course. They're looking to sell their product, and they know that you're the person that's going to buy it. So they've already done their homework, which kind of gives validity to what they might want to teach you. But you got to think about who benefits from the transaction, and it's going to be that person. So I'm going to tell you how to do this for free, because it's just such a great little technique that people don't take advantage of. I don't know if you're familiar with Facebook ads. Craig is. But when you go into Facebook ads and you're setting up all of your ad data, again, I'm not going to teach you how to create a compelling ad or whatever, but it could be just something simple that you're just asking people to say, hey, like in the fitness industry, one of my favorite slogans I ever saw, it said, tired of being fat and ugly, just be ugly. That made me want to click on it because I thought it was a hilarious catch. And what you do is you run these ads as broad as possible. Don't specify, 18 to 25, male or female. Don't specify any of that. Just run it as broad as possible, but put a budget on it of $100 for 3 days. And at the end of that 3 days, all you need to do, because Facebook has more data than any of us on this call will ever have about people. They know everything about people. So at the end of the 3 days, you go back to your ad and you look at the performance of it in the reports and you see who actually responded, right? And what you're going to notice is things like this. Maybe the 25 to 30-year-olds, they had a spike. They were 80% of the people that clicked on your ad. Wow, you might have thought it was the 20-year-olds, but no, it was like the 25 to 30-year-olds. Okay, so now you know they're part of your target audience. You might find out that it was 75% women. Interesting. You might find out that it was 90% iPhone, but you're an Android only app. Uh-oh. Right. So just by doing $100 spend on Facebook for 3 days with not a fake ad, but an ad that's not like, maybe you're putting people on a waiting list for some bonus coins. That's how you can incentivize them. So you already know they're your people because they're clicking on your ad because they get bonus coins just for signing up for a free trial. But then you can further see who is your ideal client avatar, and it gives you data, third-party validated data for your investors. It's not just you defining it. You've actually got a good ideal client avatar defined that way. But I'll just pause there, take a drink, and let Craig jump in. He's been itching to, I can tell.
The video that we did a year or so ago about you showing how to find your client avatar using Facebook ads, that basically what you just mentioned, I just put a link to in both Facebook and Zoom here so people can grab that. If for whatever reason you can't find it later and you want to email me, I'll send it to you. I think I'd like to just take a step back. I love how we just jumped in and started solving a problem and asking questions for people, because that's great. But I think Tom really hit the nail on the head with saying, he's got this wide product, but his investors want him to focus on this specific avatar. Casting a wide net, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, and you have a different opinion. That's perfect. I love having different opinions on here, as you know. Casting a wide net is what I would call leaky bucket. You're spending all this money targeting people that have 0% chance of responding to you in any way. So investors are very interested in you having this specific client avatar to go after, which is more likely to succeed and turn over and whatnot. So how important is it to have, a well-defined avatar? And am I wrong about casting the net wide? And what is a defense to investors if you're not focusing on a specific avatar?
Good questions. Yeah. So good step back. So first thing that I want to comment, and this is going to be our premise for everything we've done before and everything we're going to continue to do. Correct me if I'm wrong. So for those listening, there isn't any right and wrong. Let's get rid of that mindset, right? We can disagree, that's fine. But what it comes down to, and this is my motto for anything and everything I do, you can ask my wife, you can ask my team, it drives them all insane eventually. Test everything. Test everything. And if it works, guess what? Do more of that. And if it doesn't work, stop doing that, right? So is it right or wrong? We're going to test it and see. Right. So my question, I'm going to use Tom again as an example, because you've been the only one asking questions that I've seen. Tom, how's it going for you having that leaky bucket? How's it going for you trying to get your app to everyone? My guess is that you haven't made those millions you're after yet, or you wouldn't be here asking us for help. Right. So forget the right or wrong, forget it. Yeah, you can't focus. So that's the whole thing. To your point, I'm actually aligned with Craig here. There's only one thing that would make it so you can appeal to that broad net of people. And that's when you have, quite honestly, a product or service nobody else has, right? If you are first to market with something that is so much more advanced or so much better than anything else out there, you don't need an ideal client avatar because you're the only one out there. Right. But as soon as you're the only one out there, I guarantee you within a year, you're going to have so many competitors now that if you don't know who your ideal client avatar is, all that money you made is going to go away. And let's actually talk about Apple for a second. Nothing to do with iPhones, nothing else. Apple just made this really amazing move that I don't think the world sees the impact of it. They're about to make some of the world's biggest billionaires go broke, because Apple just introduced two things recently with their patents. I don't know when they're going to roll them out, but billionaires should be trembling. These guys that made money like PayPal, they made money from allowing you to pay from a way that's not your credit card for people that don't have it, don't want it, whatever. And they've done a great job. Don't get me wrong. I love PayPal. So there's that. And then there's the Shopify's, the Squares, all of these kind of things. And what Apple has just introduced is twofold. One, they've done a whole pay later at 0% interest thing. What? So you can now pay later at 0% interest on any Apple products if you're an existing Apple customer, which means, oh my goodness, I don't have to worry about any of that other nonsense anymore. So all of those interest fees that like your credit card company would do, or third-party layaway companies, or any of that is gone. But more importantly, what they just did is they said, hey, with the iPhone, if I'm physically near Craig and Craig says, I want to sell you this cup. This is my cup. This cup sells for $12. Craig is going to open up his iPhone app. I don't know what they're going to call it or whatever. He's going to put it in for $12 and say sell. And I literally just have to, just like I double click to pay for things anywhere else, I can then be standing near Craig, double click my phone. The transaction will be complete from iPhone to iPhone. Do you have any idea what that's going to do to a lot of these large companies for transactions? And Apple doesn't have to advertise that to anybody because they've already got such a huge amount of people that use iPhones that as soon as they discover that, these other companies are going to be trembling, right? So unless you have a product or service that's like that, you need to have a focus. You need to have an ideal client avatar. And in fact, I'm going to share one more graphic. This is, again, the cynical side of me, why I don't even like the concept of funnels, because it's exactly what we just talked about. And I see your question, but here's the thing. If you go with a wide net, right? Here's your wide net of 10,000 people. And eventually, if you're lucky, by the time they get through all the different steps in your funnel, which is why it's called a funnel, it's the traditional approach, you might get 10 people, but yeah, those 10 people are going to be loyal, fierce people. Well, sure, that can be true. But that's a lot of effort, a lot of expense, and a lot of frustration and tears, because what about all of these other 10,000 minus 10 people, right? They're gone. Wouldn't it make more sense in this case if you had 100 people coming in that were qualified, and out of those qualified people, you could close 85 of them? A lot less effort, right? A lot better return on your investment. So this is kind of why I don't really like the concept of funnels anymore, because it just doesn't make sense to me. It's an outdated model. Did you want to jump in at all, Craig?
Well, I still believe in funnels because you still have to get those 100 qualified people. You've got to filter them from somewhere. So at some point there's a funnel. You're not just, there's a 3 million people in the GTA. And if you're targeting the GTA for something, you've got to filter them down to whatever people you're targeting, whatever method you want to use to get them there.
Sure. Yeah. I think, and I agree with you. I'm not gonna, let me rephrase terminology then. I always call it sales flow now, workflow, right? I'm a huge fan of workflows, no problem. I just don't like the word funnel because it's misleading, because it does exactly what you said. I've got 3 million people in Toronto. Out of 3 million people in Toronto, yeah, if I know my ideal client avatar, I click a few buttons and bam, I know the 100 people I'm sending out my outreach to. Plain and simple, right? I know I say that like plain and simple, but I think people overcomplicate it. Let me just read your question, Tom, before I go off ranting again. For me, the question is more about how to navigate having a very wide net product. Oh, it's the same thing.
It's the same question. I just haven't closed it because you
Yeah, no problem. The original question. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I mean, here's the other approach to an ideal client avatar, right? And we kind of alluded to it before. The reason Craig and I do so much together over the years is because we've gotten to know each other and we enjoy each other. And you know what? I'm going to take this up on the challenge too. I mean, maybe Craig, I'll get you to interview me sometimes as an ideal client avatar for whatever it is you seem to see me for. Because if I have a client, like any client I've ever dealt with, that I just enjoyed the relationship, even if they're not an existing client anymore, but I enjoyed everything about that relationship, even the way it ended, if it did, I'm going to actually call up that person and find out everything I can about them. We talked earlier about, where do you shop? How much do you spend? Are you married? Do you date? Do you have kids? How old are your kids? Is one a male? Is one a female? What are your hobbies? What is your work? How much money do you bring in? What is your disposable income? Like, I'm going to find out everything I can about this person. What are your fears? What keeps you up at night? If those fears were satisfied, what is the next thing you would do in life, right? Like, just all of these questions that I could ask that person, because the more I can ask them, the more I can find more of that person. And that's the whole point. The ideal client avatar. If I've already been lucky enough to have one of those, I want more of those, right? Craig is actually one of my ideal clients. He is. And I like everything about him. I'm always top of mind to him. I like the way he conducts himself. I like the work that he's doing, the people that he's helping. He's based in Toronto, right? So our time zones are the same. You know, we always used to joke about this, is what was it? You train up captains and then I turn them
train
into pirates or
pirates.
something.
I
Oh,
train
pirates.
pirates.
Okay.
You train navies.
Right, exactly. So like, I love this whole synergy that we have, even as an ideal client, right? Like the whole step 1, step 2 approach, it just works. And that's why we keep doing things together, because it works, right? So find your person.
Yeah, so this next thing from Tom leads naturally into what I was saying, which is perfect. Tom has
Okay.
10 different optimal avatars and can't figure out how to prioritize them. So how would you've mapped out 10 different avatars. How would you prioritize them?
Right. That's a great question. And I like the other comment there too. So I'm just going to say thank you first. We all need someone like you, Marcus, that would help us see through the weeds. Yes, absolutely. Like, don't do it by yourself, right? Find a mentor. Find a business advisor. Find someone who is not going to charge you for it. Someone that just believes in what you're doing or believes in you and is willing to put time in. I've never charged Craig for any of these ever, and I never will, because I believe in what he's doing. I'm not saying I mentor Craig. I'm just saying that I like to make myself available in that capacity, because we both have a heart for helping people. So yeah, absolutely. Find yourself someone like me, like Craig. But to answer the question, 10 different optimal avatars, that's way too many. And can't figure out how to prioritize them. Okay, cool. So the way you do that is again, the step 1 to understanding an ideal client avatar, and I'm going to take a different path here, Tom, is first you must know thyself, right? And that's a funny phrase from the old days. Healer, know thyself, right? How can you heal others if you don't even understand how to heal yourself? So what I would ask is, what do you like? What do you like, Tom? And what do I mean by that is, what do you like to do? What brought you to where you wanted to build this app? What were you facing? And what problem did this app solve for you, right? What gets you excited about life? What do you like to go to movies? Do you like to joke about science fiction? Are you a Star Wars fan, a Superman fan, none of the above? Maybe you're into Lord of the Rings, Twilight. Maybe you just like sitting and watching TV. Maybe you don't even own a TV. Are you into video games? Like, what do you do with your time that brings you joy? What kind of people do you like to be around? Do you like people like me that just keep talking nonstop and are a little bit extroverted? Or do you like people that just kind of shut up and wait to be spoken to? Like, what are your preferences in life? Because here's the thing, we all know this, and this is a kind of separate topic. Like often attracts like you become like the people you are around the most. So if you want people to be on an app that you created to go on a journey that you think they need, are you the end result? Are you the person that they would want to hang around? And are they the people that you want to hang around? What does your 5 people look like? What does your community look like? Right? So if you understand you, chances are you understand your ideal client avatar, because it's going to take the least amount of effort to have a good relationship with that person. Craig and I are very different in many ways, but we're also very similar in a lot of the same core value ways that matter. I keep coming back to that. Those are the things that matter, right? And what are core values? Not the usual things like integrity and all. No, it's what does that actually mean to you? Because I say integrity, and what integrity means for me, if I were to define that, is behaving the same way I do in front of others as I do privately. To me, that would be integrity, right? But Craig might have a different definition for integrity. But integrity itself isn't a super meaningful word. Neither is honesty. Neither is customer service. These are all just platitudes until you wrap them into a story. So figure out what matters most to you. I have a friend that's very driven by money as a core value. And people be like, oh, I wouldn't want to be around someone like that. I absolutely adore this man because the things he does with his money make a difference in people's lives. That's why he's so driven to make more money, because he wants to help more people. Wow, but you wouldn't think that for someone that says, yeah, money is one of my core values, right? So you have to understand the context. So what I'm going to say is define yourself, Tom, right? I actually uploaded an entire workbook that talks about all the different things that you can define on an ideal client avatar. Define yourself first using that exercise. I'm sure Craig's going to make that available to people. And when you do that exercise, then go back and look at your 10 avatars and prioritize them. And once you've got them prioritized, I'm going to suggest take your top 3 and just put the rest aside for now, right? 6 max, but start with your top 3. I would not go after 10 avatars. Really focus down. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I look at this and I say, send out the guide to everyone who registered for this webinar on Zoom. Email me if you want it. Otherwise, the links will be on my website and I'll make sure you get it. But I look at this and I take different approaches. Like I think we get along, have the same values. We're trying to help people from that point of view. And if I have a different approach and you have a different approach and we have different ideas, that means whoever we've educated has heard more ideas and they can take what they want to take and go away with that, which is great. I look at this and I see, okay, you got 10 different optimal avatars. Go take a look at the link that we did earlier on, I think it was how to define your clients with $150 on Facebook. That link is, so you can go define all of that. I would push that through for all your 10 different avatars and see which response you get. And then you kind of have an idea. That's one way of doing it. I always use this other tool called SPA, which talks about size, pain, and access. You just do this graph. And if you look at your client avatar, the size of the group, rate it 1 to 3, how much pain that group is having in this particular area, 1, 2, 3, and your access to that group. Is it easy to access? You know a bunch of people, or it's foreign to you, you don't have it, 1 to 3. And once you kind of map that out and you take some of the motion out of it, some of these things bubble to the surface who you should be going after.
Yeah, absolutely. But you'll see where we are agreeing is that it's all data driven. There's no guesswork involved. There's no making it up. You have to test it and then go with where the testing leads you. That's I think the most challenging part for a lot of business owners of any size is putting the ego aside, because we all are very close to our products and services. We all think it's an amazing thing, back to the original statement, that can help everyone. But the data will show you otherwise. And you have to be able to separate that part of yourself, that ego part of yourself, and go where the data leads you, right? There's that old phrase, follow the money. It's usually used for solving crimes, but it also applies to business. Follow the money. Keep going to the things that work. So, cool.
Absolutely. If you have questions, throw them in the chat window on YouTube or in the Q&A window here. We have a lot of my friends have joined us here. Thank you, Tom. Sacrificing opportunity is hard for the ego. This is an interesting question. So great. I've got 10 different optimal avatars and you want me to toss 7 and focus on 3, but I feel like I'm, ignoring a bunch of my market. It's hard for my ego. I can really help these people over here. How do I get out of that mindset?
Right. So, there's a couple of things here. So one is you can appeal to your own ego. We can do this. So think of it this way. Right now, you're struggling to get funding, right? Your investors want you to focus down. Yeah, but I want to help everyone. Like, it's a noble cause, right? And I admire that. But let's look at this play. Like my friend that has money. The more money he has, the more people he can help. Do you think your ideal client avatars are going to stay those 3 forever? No, there's no such thing as one and done. This is a process, right? We update ours once a year, sometimes more, depending on what's going on in the world. So the last couple of years, it's been on our quarterly rhythm, not on our annual rhythm. So follow this through with me. Let's say you decide to take 7 of those and put them aside. Now, first of all, you might find that when you do the data and get your top 3, you might actually see that out of those top 3, maybe another 3 or 4 of them are very similar to those top 3. right? So you might be able to get rid of the other ones altogether that are too close of a match. And like we said earlier, you're also going to find those top three might drag along number 4 and 5 anyway, because you've got your focus net and it's going to pull along other people. So unless these are like 10 uniquely type of things that you've tested the data for and all 10 of them are valid, that's a separate conversation. So we've got our three. You're going to serve these three to the best of your ability. You're going to market to them. You're going to tailor the app to them. You're going to encourage and reward them. You're going to build a community around them of service. They're going to know that you are there for them no matter what. And as the money starts to come in, then guess what you can do? Now that you've learned some lessons, now that you've got some stable cash flow, now that you're in a much better position mentally because of that whole Maslow's hierarchy of needs we talked about, now you can go back and go, I'm going to take a couple of more of these other avatars now that I've got some play money from the business, and we're going to see what we can do to help them too. How rewarding is that going to be to the ego when you're no longer in a space of sacrifice, but you're in a space of abundance, and you can actually say, you know what? I can help more people now because I focused in on the people that needed it the most first. It's just triage. If you talk to any ER doctor, they want to help everybody, but they don't. They have to triage what are the most important things that need their attention first. That's how it works sometimes. And it's not easy, but if you do it, it's the most rewarding to get to help the most people. Okay. Yeah. That's when we have Marcus decide for us. No, that's not, no. Marcus doesn't decide for you because it's not Marcus's product or service. It's your journey, not mine. Even when I'm an advisor or mentor to people, I will equip them. I will give my opinions on things. God knows, Craig knows, I don't shy back from having an opinion on things. But ultimately, what I want to do is equip people to understand there's no right or wrong decision. You can make a decision and test it. Where it becomes a wrong decision, if you want to use that word, is when you test it and you keep doing the thing that's not working. That would be a wrong decision. So just test this stuff. And if any of it's not working, okay, then that means either I am just full of garbage or something else is going on in the way you're testing. That's what a Marcus is for. That's what a Craig is for. That's what an objective third party is for, is to look at what you're doing and say, oh yeah, I can see why you're not getting the results you wanted. That's all it is. It's not to make the decisions for you. This is your baby. You're all on your own there. And validation feels amazing. It absolutely can, but it can't be a driving factor, right? I can't tell you how many things I do in life that get no validation at all, and yet I still do them. I still do them because to me, it's the correct course of action. To me, it's where the data leads me. And sometimes I do get great validation from it, but sometimes it just leads to heartache because I know that I'm going the right path. And a perfect example, Craig asked me when we started, there was a little bit of a slip. He's like, hey, how was your 2020? And then we were like, oh, how's your 2022? Because it's all a blink of an eye. And I'll tell you a bit about my business really quick. And this isn't a promo for Marcus, but my business is change management. That includes project management, our main focus. It includes systems implementation, all that kind of stuff. But mostly we focus on how do you do that from anywhere in the world, remote work. Everyone knows that term now. I opened my business in 2012. And from 2012 to 2020, 90% of the people I talked to about this, even my own ideal client avatars, were like, yeah, that sounds great. But it wasn't a need. It was a luxury, right? 2020 hit. We all know what happened. Every single lead, because I've got a wicked follow-up game, every single lead that I'd ever contacted was reaching out to us and wanted to become a client because suddenly it was a need. Wow, right? So that's the difference here is you have to create things to be a need. And was that validating? That was so validating. But guess what? We spiked, we grew, we worked like crazy, we got the work done, clients were equipped, and some of them left. Okay, so now we've gone back a little bit to the medium-sized business now, and that's okay too, right? Because it's not about the validation, it's about following what works and what's not working. Okay, so do this because it's something you believe is going to help the people you want to help. And all you need is that one client avatar that turns to you and says, you changed my life. That's the validation. not 100 million people buying a product from you. The validation is you changed my life. Cool. Tim, hey, just to understand this, when you say, are you meaning personas? Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of people call them ideal client avatars. They're also called personas, is another common term for them. There's lots of different names, but absolutely, Tim, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about who are you looking to serve today? Absolutely. And welcome to the party, late or not. Maybe we were all just early and you arrived on time.
Yeah, so throw your questions here, Tim, because we're well into this discussion. Anything you want to ask here? I gonna throw back to Tom. Nice to see you again, Tom, by the way. It's great to have you out. Are you getting out of the building? Are you going to Bitcoin Bay? Are you going to Untraceable? Are you going to all these events and just, meeting these people, showing the people who are into that space and saying, all right, this is at the intersection of crypto, earning money for your data and health. And, where are those people alignment? Are you going to the people who run these cryptocurrency conferences like Untraceable and saying, hey, Tracy, I would love to do a scavenger hunt for crypto at your next event. Everybody downloads my app and they'll go around and they'll walk 5,000 steps through your thing and they'll get this reward. Like, what are you doing to figure that out and getting those people on board? And your ideal client avatar is the one that's going to be trumpeting you forward and saying, look at this, I'm getting money, I'm getting healthier, I'm doing all these things. And they're going to be telling their friends, and they're the sneezers, not necessarily a good thing. That Seth Godin did in was it the purple cow? The sneezers, they're the ones that spread your
That's
idea
right.
around, your idea virus. So keep that in mind, because wherever you can go and get that. Not enough. I do mostly virtual, but in person always works. So we're all doing mostly virtual these days, but in person works better. But don't be afraid to reach out to the people who run these events and offer something extra, like adding value wherever you can, because that's where you're going to get the most. So don't be afraid to do that.
No, event organizers are always looking for extras because it puts their conference over top, right? And that's the exact same kind of advice, but better than what Marcus gave. So maybe you need a Craig because Marcus was talking about grocery shopping, sure, but it's the same idea. Where do your people hang out? That's it. And if they're hanging out at these crypto conferences, obviously, then that's where you need to be for sure. And here's the good thing. There's virtual conferences too. You can hang out there. You can become a paid advertiser. You can actually volunteer to be a part of that conference, whether it's in person or whether it's online. Some of the best clients I ever got in my career were from volunteering at Black Gala events because I couldn't afford at the time to go as a guest. So I went as a volunteer to help and still made some great relationships that way. Got to learn a ton just by watching people too at the events. Is those are the people I wanted to do business with, and I had no way of doing it. So be creative, like he said. Like I love the idea of rewarding them when they get to 5,000 steps. Right? You got 9 billion coins to give away. Jesus, do you have any idea of what kind of incentive that is right there?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I don't even know what the value of the coins are that you're giving away. It doesn't matter. The fact that you say 9 billion just sounds impressive. You want a launch campaign right there. Hey, guess what? We're giving away 9 billion coins. Everybody and their brother is going to sign up for that if they have any inkling of digital. So yeah.
And because you're a health and wellness app, just like I said, the scavenger hunt you don't have to do it at a crypto conference. You could just start organizing them. Hey, we're going to do a scavenger hunt, or we're going to do this, or we're going to go to 10 different businesses that accept crypto, and we're going to walk from one place to another, and we're going to get our steps in, and we're going to do this, and we're like get whatever you can to get these people together and doing it, because you're trying to tie those two things together. I remember a few years ago going for there was a meetup that did a 5K walk, and then like an olive oil tasting afterwards. So there's a lot of things you all of a sudden, if you start doing a walk plus a crypto exchange plus whatever, all of a sudden like healthy eating, you've got something that people are getting together on. And
totally,
every step you take, you get every thousands of steps, you get so money, or every pound you lose, or whatever it is that you're measuring, you've got all sorts of incentives to get out in front of people. Just once you've got your ideal avatar that we're talking about, there are 2 or 3 of them. Those incentives might be different. One wants to earn crypto, one wants to lose weight, one wants to do this. This is mostly doing like the kick. Yeah. So Tom,
You're getting
definitely
some
come.
good coaching here, one-on-one to or two-on-one today. So look
Yeah.
at you go.
Come out to our startup investor drinks or email me afterwards. The newsletter or whatever, however you got this information came from me, just respond. Hey, John, you're unable to post to the chat. Sorry about that.
But you just posted in the chat.
Easy in the Q&A. Everything's in the Q&A apparently,
Okay.
so which is fine.
Okay.
So yeah, come on out and I'll happily give you more advice. I'm sure Marcus, if you might give you some time. I'm not sure what your time's like these days.
Of
So
course. Absolutely. And also don't another avenue that just came to mind is connect with some personal trainers. They already have a ton of clients that probably could make use of your app, right? All you need to do is get a few personal trainers on board and that could spread like wildfire. They could be good sneezers for you for sure. I haven't heard that term in a while.
yeah, I'm trying to find a new one because obviously with COVID, sneezers is not necessarily.
Yeah, it's another. I just called them champions. Stick with the old tried and true, right? But yeah, sneezers was catchy until COVID. Then it got catchier. Ha, okay. Any other questions, Jonathan? So you're welcome for the great information. Did you have anything you wanted to talk about? We've got what 5-10 minutes left. And I love Tom. I'm going to commend you on one thing, by the way. Well, many things, but the biggest thing is I love that you were here. You were here at the beginning and you were like, hey, this is a platform for me to get as much information as I can. And you took advantage. And that's how it's done. So I can already tell you, you've got the assertiveness and you've got the drive to take this far just by virtue of what you've already done. So just go with it. Go with it. Get more Craigs, get more Marcuses in your corner and get out there virtually and otherwise. That's the big takeaway, I think, so far.
And tell everybody else to come to these things because we actually answer your questions with actionable stuff, not just fluff.
It's tactical. Oh no.
Is
Not
there
a
anything
fan of
else you
fluff.
wanted to cover or say before?
Not really. I mean, okay, here's the thing. Like we talked about this the whole way through, right? Like we've just spent 55 minutes together and really nailed down some ways to find out your client avatar. So you don't need big expensive courses. You don't need to go to all of these huge things online and buy this book and buy that book. Really, you just have to find someone who's done it before and is willing to talk to you about it. That's my opinion of these things nowadays is, it's like when I go to the gym, if I wanted to be the biggest guy in the gym, I'm going to go ask the biggest guy in the gym, how do I get there? So it's the same thing. If you really want to find someone that's doing this, like Tom, you might have a new approach to how you're doing this, but guess what? There's a lot of successful health and fitness apps out there. So why not approach somebody like Noom or MyFitnessPal or any of these other giants in that space and say, what could I do? Right. And for all you know, they might even be like, hey, we like what you've got. We're going to offer you $1 million today just to buy your platform. You don't know. Or you might find someone in there that's willing to give you some time. That's all it is. Get some mentorship on it. Right. Because you've got this idea. Sounds like a great idea. I haven't heard of anything that's using coins as incentives yet. So I think you've got something there for sure. I don't know if it's going to be long lived because of the instability of coins, but if you can capitalize on it right now to launch you forward to cash flow stability, that's great. Right. So just go with what you've got and find someone who believes in you as much as you believe in it.
Yeah, and thanks for the questions because this makes it more interactive for us, although we didn't really get into detail about how specifically to do your client avatar. We've got other videos on that. I've got templates. I'll be doing more videos on that, but I think we gave you a lot of value here. I'm not, hopefully.
Yeah, and I gave Craig a 22-page guide that it's not fully complete. You're going to see some lorem ipsum, I think, at the beginning and what have you, but it's a 22-page guide on how to define your client avatar. So in addition to all his great materials, this is materials that we were using as of 2019 into 2022. So that should help you cover off a lot of it. And it's a little bit different than the standard funnel stuff, but some of it's still the same. So yeah, hopefully you'll enjoy that as well, Tom.
I really appreciate you taking the time again. As always, you can come back anytime. Is there anything you'd like to push or advertise or say to our audience?
Yeah, actually, I'd like to push nothing. I'm just, it's let's push the startup drinks. I am doing my best to be there. I told you it's right around my birthday. Actually, I think it's right on my birthday. So I'm going to do what I can to be there. I think my wife might kill me though if I'm not with her on my birthday. So we'll see what happens. But now that those are up again and I'm on the email list again, I will definitely be there early next year. So yeah, I just more than anything, I want to reconnect. It's we saw each other once in Toronto during the pandemic, but it would be good to get out in person and just see you again and spend some time with people like Tom. So Tom, show up at a Startup Drinks, hit me up, and we can chat all night.
The next one's December 14th. Everyone, it's on torontostarts.com or startupdrinksto.com, or email me. I'm happy to send you links. Thanks again for taking the time today, Marcus. Thank you.